Matthew Stafford elsewhere. That could happen by the Super Bowl. That wouldn't be a shock if it happened. We remember the Kansas City Chiefs trading Alex Smith to Washington Super Bowl week. So, again, could that happen next week? It's possible. It's not out of the question. The Lions already are having conversations regarding Matthew Stafford, and there is a tremendous amount of interest in him around the league.
Yeah, it's really interesting because with all of these quarterback stories kind of hanging in the balance, you feel like Stafford's one of the first that needs to happen for other things to get sorted out. Let's get to this headline from our Cowboys reporter Todd Archer, seen on ESPN.com. The Dallas Cowboys need to at least ask the Matthew Stafford question. So that's the headline from Todd Archer. Marcus, what do you think about this? Do the Dallas Cowboys need to look into Stafford?
Absolutely they do. Listen, we're about to go in the third cycle with the Cowboys and Dak Prescott and determining if they can get some sort of deal done. We know that a new piece of information is entered because of Dak's ankle and how that negotiation goes. We know that the franchise tag is $37 million. So that's a lot of incentive for Dallas to get a long-term deal done with Dak in order to save some money. But the bottom line is this. Matthew Stafford is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And if you feel like there's some apprehension or there's some possibility that you won't get Dak re-signed, this is an obvious choice for the Dallas Cowboys, especially if they're going to return back a healthy offensive line and those weapons and what we've seen Matt Stafford do throughout his career with the Detroit Lions. An opportunity to win is what Matt Stafford is looking for. And it may not be the Dallas Cowboys as an opportunity to win, but that roster that he has from an offensive standpoint with Matt Stafford could look real, real good and be really dangerous for a lot of people in this league, especially in the NFC East, where we're trying to determine who the quarterback's going to be for the other three teams anyway. So, yeah, I would pursue Matt Stafford if I'm the Dallas Cowboys and I'm in flux with Dak Prescott in this contract.
Again, guys, if anybody is talking about Deshaun Watson, they should be talking about Matthew Stafford. So, and anybody that wants to have an idea of who Matthew is as a player, just listen to players talk about him instead of hating fans or whatnot. I'd say this. Everybody that's talked about this has only talked about it in regards to should the Cowboys look into Matthew Stafford. And I think about okay, if you're the Detroit Lions, who have a new general manager from the Rams and a new head coach from the Saints, what are their viewpoints on Dak Prescott, right? Because at some point in this trade, Dak Prescott would have to be a part of it. And in the last 6 times that Dak Prescott has either played the Los Angeles Rams or the New Orleans Saints, he hasn't thrown for more than 260 yards. He hasn't thrown for more than 2 touchdowns. So we're just assuming that the Lions are going to sit there and go, okay, this is an equal trade. They might not view it that way. We have no idea what Brad Holmes, the new general manager, or Dan Campbell, the new head coach, think about Dak Prescott. Have they had the experiences standing on the sideline against him and being like, wow, this guy's balling? I just told you guys in the last 6 times over the last 3 years, hasn't thrown for more than 260. And so this might come to a point, if the Cowboys really want Matthew Stafford, they might have to try and sweeten the pot a little bit and add something more than just Dak Prescott going to Detroit.
Again, if you want to check out this article on ESPN.com by Todd Archer, it's really well done, laying out the financial side of this, too. We're talking about here, too, Marcus, where the Cowboys would be given conservatively maybe $30 million in cap space difference between Stafford and Dak Prescott. I mean, what do you do with $30 million? Do you sign more weapons? Do you sign better defensive players, right? That, I think, is a really important point in this whole discussion.
Absolutely. With the extra money, you focus on your defense for sure. You think about and maybe some offensive line help, especially after watching them be so depleted. And then the age and Travis Frederick obviously retiring. They probably want to build it inside out once again. But if you can get that money back based on not having Dak, yes, directly go to defense. All 3 of us watched them play defense this year. They need players. They not only need scheme, they need players as well. So, look, the bottom line is this. If they don't sign Dak, they save money. And if they get Matthew Stafford for less, the Dallas Cowboys are in a great position to be in the playoffs and have a chance to win if they do the right thing on the other side of the football, which is defense, and get players on that side fit with a scheme that they can execute at a high level.
Really fast, Dan.
Yeah, I think what you would see is if these 2 teams made this trade, it would become the NBA. This would be like a 3-team trade, where if Dallas sent Dak and something to Detroit and Matthew goes to Dallas, then Detroit flips Dak somewhere else and drafts a young quarterback and completely makes this rebuild. This could become a 3-team trade situation.
So much to focus on when it comes to these quarterbacks around the NFL. When it comes to the Cien Deportes in Spanish, CBS in English, Sunday, February 7th at 6:30 Eastern. You can always watch it live on the ESPN app from anywhere. Back to our top story today. The Texans announced a head coach hire in David Culley, and Deshaun Watson did what many NFL fans, especially fans of teams other than the Texans, expected and hoped for. He officially requested a trade. Let's bring in Adam Schefter with all the latest. Adam, what more can you tell us?
Well, here's the interesting part, Laura. Teams have actually called the Houston Texans to inquire about Deshaun Watson, and so teams have had more contact with the Texans than they've had with Deshaun Watson himself. He has not spoken with team officials. They've reached out, but he has not responded to their request. So clearly, he's taking a page from the Khalil Mack playbook. You'll remember when John Gruden took over as head coach of the Raiders, could not and did not reach Khalil Mack before they wound up trading him to the Chicago Bears. Deshaun Watson is not interested in speaking with people from Houston. He's made his voice known. He's made his intentions clear. He wants to be traded. And obviously, he wants to move on to a new franchise. I think he's open to a lot of different franchises. We'll see where he decides to wind up. We'll see whether Houston's willing to trade him. But I think Houston right now is not of the mind to deal Deshaun Watson. It's not looking to move him the way that the Detroit Lions will be looking to trade Matthew Stafford in this season of endless quarterback movement. And so there is something of a standoff at this particular time as Houston tries to feel out the situation. I think the Texans were hoping that the hire of their new head coach, in this case David Culley, would be enough to soften the stance of Deshaun Watson. But Deshaun Watson doesn't feel this way over David Culley, nor the Texans' new general manager, Nick Casario. These are feelings that have been in place that are reflective of how he feels about ownership and the organization, and he wants out.
Yeah, to your point, it wouldn't have mattered who they hired. And also, to a point that you made earlier in the show, it makes it even more important that whomever is going to try and get Deshaun Watson is going to have to put up all kinds of capital to get him over to their team. This is quite a rare situation, by the way. According to Elias, only one quarterback in NFL